All right, we're gonna try out this new air compressor that Dad got. It's a DeWalt battery-powered air compressor.
I would call it an inflator.
An inflator.
It's not really technically there's a compressor in it, but it's really primarily designed to inflate tires and rafts and basketballs and stuff like that. Mostly tires, I think.
But he got it because it's a lot more convenient to bring down here to the equipment than to move the equipment around.
And I've already got it hooked up to this tire. They actually make a compressor that works off these 60 volt flex volt things, but it's heavier and I really didn't have a big need for a wireless compressor at this juncture. So I tried this. It's about $105 on Amazon. And what you do is you can just turn it on, and it's got a high volume side and it also has a higher pressure side, and you just set the PSI you want. In this case, you got to turn a lot in circles, but you set the PSI. These trailer tires, there's 110, 112. We're going to set it, I set the other one, I think 123.5. Don't ask me why. But it's on 109 right now, and that gives you the pressure. It's already hooked up. It just stays hooked up.
So the tire's already inflated to 109?
109, yeah. And okay. I don't know what. They're out in the sun. It's probably not the best time to do it, but that's what we're going to do. And we're going to turn it on if you want to back up, because it'll make some.
Well, and then what? Before we back up, what's the extension there? Is that something
that
you bought
didn't come
extra?
with it? The way it's designed is it stops right here at this brass fitting, and you screw it on. And I brought this with it.
Where'd you get that extension?
Amazon as well. It's like $8.50.
Okay.
And then it just goes on and off real easy. It just clamps on and off.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to screw it, because I figured you'd lose more pressure screwing on and off than clamping. So you turn it on. It comes on, and it goes pretty slow. Here's the downside to this. The way I read the manual, at above 100 psi, you're only supposed to use it continuously for 10 minutes and then let it rest or cool off for 20. But it's a little ambiguous. I'm not sure if it means just above 100 when you're pumping above 100 psi, or if it means just, like a regular tire on a car might only get to 32, 35 psi. I don't know if it's rated for continuous use at below 100 psi or not. But for safety purposes, I'm just using it 10 minutes at a time and then let it cool for 20. So that's a problem with these higher pressure ones, because like this one started this morning at 85 psi, and it took longer than 10 minutes to get it up to 109. So I would have been better off if these tires were already up pretty high. Here's the downside. The compressor, most compressors you get, they're not rated to pump up something beyond 120 psi a lot of times. So.
And I noticed you're using a flex volt battery. What kind of batteries can you use with that?
Well, one other thing too about this, will actually, according to specs, will actually go up to 160 psi.
Okay.
I'm sure that would take a long time. As you can see, as long as we've been going here, we're still only up to 113. I'm not sure that 10 minutes will get us to, we'll see, we've probably been out here a minute already. I'm not sure 10 minutes will get us to 123 or not, we'll see. But yeah, that's a flex volt battery, a 60 volt, 9 amp hour. I have done four trailer tires that went to 125. I did that one from 85 to 120, 3.5. Now this one, I don't know if it'll make it or not, because it's only showing one light.
And you did all that on one battery?
I did all that on one of the 60 volt batteries.
One 9 amp hour 60 volt battery?
Well, it's not really 9 amp hours on 60 volts, it's 9 amp hours
at 20 volts.
On 20 volts. On 60, it's really only 3 amp hours. But this will also use 20 volt batteries. Like I've got 20 volt, 5 amp hour batteries.
So you can use it with the same batteries used for your drill, for instance.
As a matter of fact, it probably works better with the 20 volt, because then it'll sit flat. With this one, it actually sits on the battery versus the smaller batteries. The thing will sit down evenly.
You can see we're up to 116.8 right now. And so did you set the target PSI then? So it'll cut off automatically at the target PSI?
The problem is, where you have to monitor it, if it's not supposed to work more than 10 minutes at a time, You can't just leave it and walk away and come back in half an hour because it's not supposed to be running that long.
So it won't shut off automatically after 10 minutes.
No. You can put it on a timer, or I just watch my watch.
And what's the...
Now, I will tell you this. I aired up the tires. They didn't need much, 4 or 5 pounds at the most on our Ford Focus, which is like, I don't even know what they are, 13, 14. They're not very big tires. And it did those like lickety split. If you had just a regular...
Not much volume there.
Passenger car tire, or like a half-ton pickup or something.
Well, why is it, do you know why it's only designed to be used for 10 minutes? Does it get too hot, or...
Yeah, I don't know, except it probably gets... It does get a little warm. It doesn't seem to be overly warm to me. But
do you know if it's
just an annotation in the book that says it's...
And does it... Oh, go ahead.
It's not rated for more than 10 minutes continuous use. Now, once it did say at 100 psi or more. That's the way I technically read it, but like I said,
and I wonder if that's a... We'll have to look it up. I wonder if that's a limitation of the compressor or the inflator or the batteries. Like it's harder on the batteries.
I don't think it's the batteries at all.
Okay.
Because they make compressors and grinders, and I don't remember seeing anything that said not rated for continuous use, because I think that, I mean, that's the case for an electric compressor. A lot of times you don't want to use those continuously either at a high PSI or maybe at all. So I think that's a compressor issue.
Now, what size is this tire? It's a pretty big tire, lots of volume. It's let's see, 215 75 R 17.5.
Yeah, and it's a 16-ply tire.
So it's a pretty big tire, quite a bit of volume there. So we'll just see, it's getting close. It's up to 122.
Yeah, we've been going about 5 minutes, so it's gonna make it. So it'll shut off on its own. 123. One thing I will tell you is, after it shuts off sometimes, automatically it'll be off like half a pound or a pound one way or the other. This one, so you notice it just shut off and it says 124.3.
So it overinflated a little bit, but by the time you take off the...
Time I take this off, it probably drops.
And lose a little air. It's probably not exactly 123.5, but...
So that's been running about 5 minutes.
Pretty close. Then what other features does this thing have? I see it's got a hose here.
It's got a high volume thing. That's like
for a inflatable
like
bed
rafts
or something.
Or beds or mattresses. It's got a thing to put. It's got a Presto valve, I think is what they call it. The little
for like a bike.
Instead of a Schrader, like for a bicycle.
The
Presto valve. And then that's like for a basketball or football or something.
Okay.
And it's just a high volume. It actually will deflate stuff, which can come in handy too. It's got two different. I don't remember which one's which, but one of these is exhaust and one of them's intake. You can actually hook it up on the intake side, like if you had a mattress or something you wanted to get real small. You know how sometimes it's hard to get the air out of something. That helps with that. I've not used the high volume side.
You can see it'd be a pain to take the trailer up there to use a bigger compressor. You can see our dog running around up there too. That's Millie. She'll be looking for some shade here in a little bit.
No, it's just kind of handy to check.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you think people should know about that little thing?
So far, so good. I haven't used it that much. Like I said, I've done about 5 or 6. No, I guess I've done 10 maybe tires. Okay. So far, it works really nicely.
All right. Well, that's all for now.
I would recommend it highly.
And what is that? It's a DeWalt. What's it called actually?
It's a DeWalt. I don't know what they call it.
Does it have like a model number on the back?
DCC.
DCC
Delta
020I air inflator.
It's probably 1. Delta Charlie 0201
air inflator.
Air inflator is what it's called.
All right.
But it works good. And to me, it's easier. I don't have to drag a big compressor out to go to a vehicle or a tire, or vice versa. I got to take the vehicle or the tire to the compressor, which is either one of those is, kind of a pain. And the more often something's a pain, the less likely you are to do it. And tire inflation pressure is important, particularly when you got heavy loads.
All right. Well, that's our initial review of the DeWalt air inflator. We'll maybe do another video after we've used it for a while.